Cantrips are the cornerstone of all casters in Dungeons & Dragons. Wizards and sorcerers can control the elements from their fingertips, warlocks can cast Eldritch Blast if the player is feeling particularly creative that day, and clerics also exist. But not all cantrips are created equal. While warlocks got more customization options for a single cantrip than you got for your character in your favorite MMO, other classes got the abilities to turn on some lights. A special example of this level of inequality, as well as what I believe to be the worst cantrip in all of Dungeons & Dragons, is True Strike. For those of you unfamiliar, True Strike is a divination cantrip with a casting time of 1 action, a range of 30 feet, and the duration of 1 round with concentration. The spell reads, you extend your hand and point a finger at a target in range. Your magic grants you a brief insight into the target's defenses. On your next turn, you gain advantage on your first attack roll against the target, provided that this spell hasn't ended. Now, in case it isn't already apparent to you why this cantrip is the worst thing since Variant Encumbrance, let's break this down step by step. For starters, having a casting time of 1 action means that you're essentially doing nothing for an entire turn. You're using all of your first turn to prepare for your second turn. And because it fizzles out on the second turn, you could have just attacked twice on your first and then second turn, possibly getting more damage, but instead you decided to point. The second problem is this only lasts for 1 round with concentration. Meaning if you happen to get hit and you don't see eye to eye with your dice that day, you wasted almost 2 full turns in combat. But all hope has not yet been lost, for I have some suggestions on how to improve the use of this cantrip while also not completely destroying game balance. For starters, I do believe that it should still remain 1 action to cast this cantrip, as attempting to gain insight into a target's weakness should take a little bit longer than just a second or 2. However, I do believe that using magic to see enemy weaknesses is not something that should last only 6 seconds. So here is my proposal. For starters, the casting time remains 1 action, but the duration goes up to 1 minute, still requiring concentration. However, adding on to this, you also must use your bonus action on each subsequent turn to maintain concentration on this spell. Otherwise, the spell is lost. This fits with the theme of True Strike, as it requires you to constantly refresh your insight on your opponent's constantly changing defenses, while also not being too weak with an entire action being spent. I believe that these changes promote a more risk-reward type playstyle that requires you to use your bonus action every turn while also rolling the dice on concentration checks, something that is not seen with the current iteration of this cantrip. Now I want to turn this over to you. What do you think of True Strike? Do these changes make the cantrip actually usable? Or am I just talking out of my ass? Let me know in the comments. Or you can come over to my Twitch stream and yell at me about how wrong I am over there. Link to that down below. But regardless, if you enjoyed this video, leave it a like. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.